صلاة الله سلام الله على طه رسول الله صلاة الله سلام الله على ياسين حبيب الله على ياسين حبيب الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفاه. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وأصحابه وبارك وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. It is during these great days of the blessed month of Ramadan that we remember the first and the greatest battle of Islam, the battle of Badr, the first great military battle under the command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today is the 17th of the blessed month of Ramadan, and the 17th of Ramadan is the date on which the battle of Badr took place. The Muslims were previously considered very, very weak. They were considered frail, they were considered delicate, and the Makkans, they always used to assert their power over the Muslimin, especially when the Muslimin were in Makkah al-Mukarramah. In Makkah, everything was done secretly, nothing was done publicly. The Muslims hid when they made their ibadat, nothing was done publicly. They kept it quiet because there was always the fear of torture, there was the fear of persecutions. But now a time came that when they moved from Makkah al-Mukarramah to Madinah al-Munawwarah through the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ, everything became open, alhamdulillah. Everything, Islam was practiced openly. It was a new lease for Islam. It was a new birth for Islam, basically, by the arrival of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Madinah to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now, if anything threatened them, or if any difficulties were on the forefront, the Muslims, they had to take a stand. And this is now when the Battle of Badr came about, and the Muslims took a stand, and it was 313 Muslims. They were ill prepared. They didn't have the weapons that the Makkans possessed. They didn't have the shields and the swords and all the armory that the Makkans possessed. But 313 Muslims stood firm in the face of 1,000 Makkans. Now, if you look at that, it absolutely doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that how can 313 fight an army of 1,000? But the key thing here is that the Muslimin were promised the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were promised the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam pleaded to Allah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made this dua to Allah and said to Allah that, Ya Allah, if this small group, if this small band of Muslimin were to be defeated tomorrow on the battlefield of Badr, then who will worship you after this, Ya Allah? This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Allah, that if they are defeated, then who is going to worship you, Ya Allah? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam assured the Sahaba Ikram, his companions, his illustrious companions, Ridwaan ta'ala alayhim ajma'in, that the assistance and the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was going to come. And this was the yaqeen of the Sahaba Ikram. It is because of their faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their belief in the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the assistance and the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come. This is why they lined up in the sufuf, they lined up in the lines or in the safs of battle, ready to take on 1,000 kuffar. And their yaqeen was so strong, Allahu Akbar, that when the battle was about to start, they still knew that the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was going to come, because the assistance didn't come that time. And the battle started also, and they looked at the Prophet ﷺ and they said, Ya Rasulullah, what is happening? When is the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coming? And as the armies were charging towards them, they still held that yaqeen, they still held that faith that the assistance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to come. And eventually the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came. because of their faith, because of their yaqeen, because of their belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the belief in their Prophet who told them that the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to come. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent 3,000 and then 5,000 angels. And these angels came and they killed the kuffar. Allahu Akbar. They killed the kuffar. And even big kuffar, great enemies like Abu Jahl, he was killed in that battle as well. Allahu Akbar. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the night before even made a circle. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made a mark where Abu Jahl will die. And on the day of the battle of Badr, they found Abu Jahl on that mark or in that circle that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made. Allahu Akbar. So when the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came, when the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came and assisted the Muslimin, and the Muslimin with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's angels were allowed to defeat the Meccans, Islam, the status of Islam changed in the perception of people. The status of the Muslimin changed in the eyes of people, and the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam grew in the eyes of the enemies of Islam, and they realized that Islam is not to be taken lightly. They realized that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is such a commander such a leader who commands the respect and the loyalty of his followers and his Sahaba. So Islam, this was a changing point in the history of Islam, and Islam became a force to be reckoned with, and Islam grew in its izzah and in its status and its honor in the eyes of everybody. And this is because the Muslims stood their ground, and this is because of their yaqeen and their faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the lesson for us, or one of the lessons that we can take from the Battle of Badr, is that our yaqeen and our faith, our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the hope that we place in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is never misplaced. Because Nasrun min Allah wa Fathun Qareeb, the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and victory is near. And when we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we put our trust firmly in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we put our yaqeen and our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will definitely bear beautiful and sweet fruits. So let us take this one lesson from the Battle of Badr. Always, when we place our yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make a way for us, inshallah. We make dua that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate the status of the Ahlul Badr, all the Sahaba of Badr, and those who passed away, those who were martyred in the Battle of Badr. We make dua that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate their statuses in Jannah al-Firdaus, inshallah. Ameen thumma ameen. We recite on the Arwah, Surah Fatiha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
صلاة الله سلام الله على طه رسول الله صلاة الله سلام الله على ياسين حبيب الله على ياسين حبيب الله